Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Oracles. Thank you to Braden and Eileen for your recent support. It's treasured and appreciated, and um, so is all of yours presence. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to look into High Draconics and the Cosmic Serpent in this video. I tend to forget how possibly absurd, deluded, and incomprehensible both I and the content I'm producing here and the work I do overall and have been doing with the oracles, call it Mandian or the Oak or whatever you want to, but how really strange it must come across to people. And when I say stuff like we live inside a dragon, I can understand why people's response might be that the nutter just say that we live inside a dragon, and yes, I very much did so. And that's a very, very um, strange and crazy statement. Just putting it out there without context. And a lot of that is me assuming that you've taken to heart all of the stuff that I've been sharing and explaining over the years, and that's a big assumption on my part, because why would you if you're possibly just tuning in, for instance? So I'm taking this video to explain it and to channel on this topic. But let's return to the basics in the beginning, because a recurring theme that I've been exploring here is, of course, the Kundalini, the Serpent energy, the energy that rises from the root and passes throughout the system and up through the spine to unite with the crown. And that's a part of the physical awakening experience. But this is connected to a universal mythological theme around the cosmic serpent. We find this serpent energy or this serpent mythology all over and in all cultures, expressed in different ways. And it's so fascinating where it turns up, because, for instance, when I feel compelled to pick up this oriental chandelier secondhand nearby, then it turns out, of course, that there are three beasts on it. And I didn't notice when I bought it, but I noticed when I got home. And what are these three creatures? Well, you can probably already guess. It's the serpent, it's the bird of prey, and it's the great big cat or the panther. So these three creatures again. And I've been exploring this in several videos going back, this idea of these three creatures. So the serpent, the cat, and the eagle or the falcon sitting up there. And my idea of it is that what happens is that this unconscious energy, which sits at the root and which is expressed in Norse mythology through the figure of Nidhugg, which gnaws at the roots of the world tree. And the world tree is your central axis. It is your spine and the nervous system connected to it, where everything insists inside of everything that is you, and all of reality that you express as a microcosm of the macrocosm. And as this becomes aware and begins to arise, it passes through these configurations, the chakras, and the three fundamental chakras, the three main chakras, as the Taoist system, for instance, maintains are the three universal centers, is the root center, the heart center, and the crown. And the root center is connected to the serpent. The heart center is connected to the lion, the panther, the jaguar, that great big cat, and the main crown chakra is connected to the bird of prey or the eagle or the falcon. And it is as if when this serpent arises and begins to make itself aware and begins to activate your system, it sort of has to do battle with these other entities. And this is what I'm talking now is, of course, like poetic, mythological ways of interpreting something which is bodily, which is universal, and which is very hard to access through anything else than the mythological and symbolic language. And there it tries to um, battle it out, and that battle is supposed to result in a type of ceasefire or a type of unification. And so when the serpent battles it out with that great protective lion, the panther, that great force of the heart, which is the sort of the champion, the personal energy, the integration and protection of what is sacred and alive within us, which is the heart, the lungs, the respiratory system, where personality really resides and is united. Well, as it unites, the serpent unites with the panther, and it moves up here and has to unite with the eagle as well. It's unified in the symbol of the dragon, because the symbol of the dragon expresses both the raw, fierce energy of the serpent. It expresses the, um, let's say, combative and protective and singular, regal expression of the panther. So it's also something which is um, totally self-reliant. And then, of course, it's also able to grow wings to take flight and to embody wisdom. And that wisdom is sort of the wisdom of the falcon of Horus, or the eagles of Zeus, or well, the ravens of Odin. It's really sublime wisdom and insight here. So the serpent, with these two other entities, molds and becomes expressed in the dragon as the great universal force. And that's where the serpent of the Kundalini bites its own tail in this circuitry of our bodies. And it then becomes symbolically and energetically united in the symbol of the dragon and the cosmic dragon. And it bites its own tail. And that's a part of these esoteric configurations and expressions which you find in alchemy, which you find all over, where the circuitry needs to be completed, and it is completed within the energy sort of maintaining itself and entering into a higher circuitry where it's aligned with both the universal flow within you, but also the universal shape and flow of the cosmos at large, and of the great higher dimensional structure and harmony, that set of concentric circles of awareness which we excite within, or exist within and reside within, and which is expressed in the 13th dimensional scale, so the 12 dimensions plus the unification of the whole. And those are sort of the teachings that I've been relating, exploring, and receiving in all of these videos, compressed into a more simple, I hope, or at least unified explanation of what it is that is going on. So recently I've been studying the Shiva Purana, sort of the main sacred and ancient text of Saivism. And what I came across recently there is this term called Kala, and which is usually translated, it's a Sanskrit word, and is usually translated as the great destroyer, or the black one, or time. And another place where you encounter this word is in the beginning of the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and that's this chapter where Krishna reveals himself to Arjuna as the shape and form and expression of everything, the incarnation of all that is the total divine cosmos. So it's one of the great culminations of this classical ancient text. And it begins with the line that says, I am time, the great, the destroyer of all things. And this is the same phrase as Oppenheimer quoted in that famous quote, which is, I am become death, the shatterer of worlds. And become death is also a translation of this kala. That's the term that appears there. It's a sort of strange translation he was reading, because usually the text says, I am time, and that's the traditional translation of the term of kala. But this is identified with the cosmic serpent in Sanskrit mythology and in the Shiva Purana. This is identified with this great serpent of time, which devours all things, and which, of course, brings about change always through its destruction. So, become death is an expression of time. It's the destructive force which resides in all things, and that's the dragon. That's the serpent that we live inside. That's the great universal cosmic inescapable structure that we exist in. It is time itself, it is death itself, it is destruction itself, and it is the cosmic universal serpent which gnaws at the root, which gnaws as our life force, and which is prodding it to change also by consuming it and by devouring it. And how we escape that seems to be um, the general aim and pursuit of all spiritual practice and of all religion and mythology. How do we get beyond time and into eternity, and how do we unite with what's eternal? So how do we do battle with the great cosmic serpent which encircles all things? And so, on the final day of creation at Ragnarok, then Odin battles it out with the Midgard serpent, which is also the serpent which encases all things, which is greater than the earth itself, which is greater than the power of the gods, and which not even Thor, the greatest of the divine champions, can lift from the ground, because it is everywhere, it is around us, and it is both the great force that we have to duke it out with in the end, but also what prods us to live, to be, and to exist and express ourselves within this. And that somehow becomes immediate, and it becomes the the battle that we undertake in order to aim for the unity of the draconic symbol within us as we move into Kundalini awakening, stirring of the universal serpent energy, whether we trigger this consciously or we come across it, stumble across it, and happen to prod and trigger this by accident or divine grace or divine folly or whatever it might be, as I accidentally did about 8 years ago now, and it's been quite the ride. But I've also been very assisted and supported, not only by fate and the cosmos and all these entities and invisible friends, it seems, but also by good people I've come across, and all the delightful people that I've encountered through this work. So my gratitude and appreciation for that. And what I wanted to do, apart from explaining this in this video, was that I like to channel this cosmic serpent. I like to see if I can connect with it, because I of course began with channeling the ancient shape-shifting reptilians and my friend Flip Krach Trukart, Flip for short, um, who announced how their ascension was connected to ours, and connected to them finding their higher expression. And that's a symbolic way of sort of expressing the same, how this unification is what we're aiming for, and that's expressed in the high cosmic dragon, the radiant serpent, which has found its most benign and astral and luminous expression in the 11th dimension, up there where the universes and reality and a divine imagination resides, the high angelic spaces. So let me see if I can connect to this cosmic serpent in its 11th dimensional expression, in its high radiant quality, and let's see what it has to say about this awakening pattern, which I've just explained here in this video. So I hope there was something worthwhile in there, and I hope it resonated, and there might be information that's useful for some of you, or at least you enjoyed the ride and the energy in it. So I'm sending you my love out there, and let's see what they have to say over on the other side. Much love, guys. Greetings, dear humans, speaking from the beyond and into this time space with love, power, and unity. I, Kala, the great cosmic serpent, the force of time itself, I speak, and in my darkness I arise to merge with the light. And this unification, it is the unification of raw power and pure wisdom. And it unifies within the rule and sovereignty of the individual soul. The rule and sovereignty of the individual soul, which resides and is expressed in the heart center. This is where you may find that all the parts of you which travel around the world tree, all the parts of you which are disparate and disunited, they come together to be united in divine purpose and divine action. And it is this divinity at which you strive when you begin to align with the eternal and universal parts of you. But the tools which you must use for this expression, they are the tools of matter. They are the fabric of life, and they are the building stones of reality. So time itself, universal and hidden as it may be, destructive and imprisoning as it may seem, oppressive and difficult, possibly dangerous as it may seem to your deeds and actions, it comes through and exists because without it nothing could be. So eternity is a component of matter, just as matter is the necessary and visible, tangible expression of eternity. These two things, they must unite and unify, and they can only do so through the spiritualized system, through the awakened system, through the incarnation, becoming aware of itself, both as something temporal and as something eternal, and uniting that into divine purpose and action. This is why the serpent energy, or the deity themselves, the demonic and the divine, is powerless without the human, the incarnation, the individual, which is seated in the middle and over which they do battle and do their tug of war. And so within this power that you express, there is always the opportunity for choice. There is the opportunity for understanding, and you choose your reality. You create it by the choices you make, by the perceptions you put forward, and by your interpretations of yourself and the actions and deeds that you undertake. This is the universal rule of existence, that you must choose which part you play, but when you align with the great cosmic universal pattern, and you do so through dream, through vision, through symbolism, mythology, and poetry, but the pattern is universal. It is mathematical, written in a type of physics, of soul, which is lawful, harmonic, and expresses codes and a patterning connected to the universal script of everything. When you align with this, your choices become the choices of the soul, and your deeds, however irrational they may seem to you and others, become the deeds of your divine self, of your soul expressing itself through reality, empowered by the flow of time, empowered by the cosmic dragon, the united force which sits on the dragon hoard, which sits on that eternal treasure and guards it with wisdom, power, sovereignty, and ferocity. And therefore, as you become yourself, you also become aligned with the cosmic dragon, with the universal self, with this shape which takes in all shapes, all forces, and all conflicts, and unite them in its being, unite them in that sacred circuitry which bites its own tail. And this is what I reveal unto you this day. I, Kala, the great universal serpent, the inescapable one, the great force of reality itself, of matter itself, and of the universal flow and ebb and flooding of everything, of this wavy motion, this curl of the serpent, this universal movement which is inside everything present in everything, and alive in everything. This is what I show you this day, that you are that waveform. You are that universal pattern. You are that high symbol, and you are naked reality itself, pure soul, pure being, and pure incarnation, always, in whatever human shape you are taking in this moment, in this lifetime, and in the cycle of souls and reincarnation. You are always an expression of the soul's divine circuitry, and moving towards your divine home in the heart, towards the unification of all your disparate beings within one unity, within one sacred cycle, completed in this moment and completed always. And within this sacred cycle, I depart from you, now in speech, but I am with you in everything, and you are in everything, as divine light shining forward. May you always remember the radiance that you are, and with that, may you walk forward in life, expressing that and shining like your local star, the sun, and like all the stars, giving life to everything in this universe. With power, in love, and through wisdom, I and we bless you. Farewell for now, sweet humans. I hope that served you out there. Much love to you guys.